Let's talk with Stacy. Stacy, you're with Allworth Money Matters.
Hi there.
Hi, Stacy.
How are you?
Fantastic.
Hi, good. So I am flying by the seat of my pants on my financial situation. I'm 60. I'll be 61 years old. I have $7 million in my 401k, and about maybe I've got other investments that are small. And what I'm getting told now by people is that I need to start investing in assets that spin off investment income. So like I should be buying into real estate and things like that. And my attitude is if I have $7 million,
You can do whatever you want.
and right. So why am I getting into these complicated structures of these real estate deals that will, give me, money? They'll give me cash flow every month forever.
Does someone want you to go out and buy, personally own rental properties or commercial buildings or
bought
something?
into 2 high-rise buildings in New York City where I'm part of a limited partnership.
You've done this already?
Liability.
You've done this already?
Yeah.
You bought into an LLC?
Yes. So I have done it on 2. I've done 2 deals, $100,000 each deal.
How long ago?
One was about 6 months ago, and one was about a year ago. So, I mean, the one is a Manhattan apartment building. It was redeveloped. It's giving me it's giving me 10%. I'm getting $850 a month in income right now on the $100,000. When they say that when they refi the building, then I get my investment back and I continue getting the cash flow.
Mm-hmm. Assuming everything works out and they're able to refi the building.
Exactly.
And by the way, that distribution you're receiving may or may not have anything to do with the earnings of the investment.
So look,
it could be like a return of capital.
Thank you.
And the $7 million, that's a lot in a 401k.
I know. Were you self-employed at some point in time?
Did you work for a hot company?
Like Cisco
I'm
or something?
I'm 38 years with a public company. And when the financial crisis hit and I saw my 401k go down to $200,000, I moved it all into the company stock fund that had dropped from $68 to 98 cents. At that point, I was blacked out for 2.5 years from being able to move any money out of the stock fund. So by the time I was able to move money out of it, the stock was trading at $12 a share.
Please tell me you've diversified since then.
Well, everything's in my 401k.
I don't understand, but you got rid of the company stock.
Or reduced it some.
I maintained $500,000 in company stock.
You know what, Stacey? This is hilarious.
Oh, my God.
I mean, this is not that much different than going to Vegas and saying, I'm going to put everything on red 27. And it paid for you, right?
What a great story.
I got lucky. I realized I got lucky.
Luck counts too.
Yeah, right. What a great story.
The reality is, this is where you are today. You got $7 million.
You're 61. Do you have a spouse?
No.
And
I'm single.
What were you make? Are you retired or are you still working?
No, I still work. Last year I made $445,000. So, but mind you, of that money, first of all, I fully contribute to my 401k. I do all of the flex spending and the medical, so my paycheck is low, and most of I'm making about 190 on base salary.
Like you said, your overall income was 445 last year.
Yeah,
and you're
because I get stock.
Got it.
How much money do you have outside your IRA?
So I have $7 million in my 401k. I have a $350,000 IRA. I have the $200,000 investments in real estate, and I have $100,000 in mutual funds.
Okay.
And then whatever's in my house.
So back to the original question, which
do you like owning these partnership interests in these buildings?
No, because they make me very nervous.
Okay.
They're sketchy. To some extent, I think they're a little sketchy, but the people that I'm working with, I have a lot of confidence in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've actually asked them if they're Bernie Madoff.
Mm-hmm. Bernie Madoff didn't tell people he wasn't Bernie Madoff.
I got to tell you a story. This was a number of years ago. I was on a panel. Barron's, the publication, asked me to speak on a panel, and there was, I think, 3 of us, different kind of wealth managers or whatever, on this panel. And there was one gentleman that I think his account minimum was $50 million. Okay, and he talked about that his average client had 14 different accounts, not investments, different accounts. Most of them LLPs, LLCs. Where you get the K1s. Mm-hmm. You're waiting until October. Mm-hmm. Where's my K1? Yep. All that stuff, right? 14 of these, and I thought to myself, these poor clients. Most of them were business owners. They got lucky. Businesses, hard work, whatever. Anyway, at some point in time, they hit the payday. They've got all these dollars, and this guy just made their life so complicated. And they had enough money to have life simple.
The question is, I am stuck with all taxable income in my retirement.
That's right.
And is there anything that am I just,
no.
My attitude is if I get 8% return a year and my account goes up by 8%, so what? I pay the taxes on it.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
There's no way to avoid it.
Look, back to your original premise where people have told you, and I don't know who these people are, that told you that
someone is selling
that you need
products.
to diversify these different sources of income. Look, there's very little you can do with this portfolio. There's very little.
No.
No. In terms of taxation.
That's exactly right.
Right? There's lots you could do with this. I wouldn't mess with any of this
You can
stuff.
own a real estate investment trust that specializes in New York high-rise apartments if you wanted to.
But don't. You're absolutely fine, right? You're absolutely fine. I wouldn't mess with. Look, what you're interested in is total return, and it's pretty simple in your portfolio because most of your assets are in this IRA.
Which has some benefits because you can do all kinds of transactions without incurring any tax bills.
But total return is dividends, capital gains, and interest. Right? Mm-hmm. Can I add anything else to that?
I don't think so.
Dividends, capital gains, and interest. So when people talk about diversifying their sources of income, you can do that, that's an investment allocation, which is, hey, I'm going to put a traded REIT, real estate investment trust, in my IRA, a traded 401k. And because you're over age 61, you've got this menu that you actually live inside your 401k, but you're over age 59 and a half. You can take most, if not all of your 401k and move it into an IRA, and your menu of investment options has expanded
dramatically.
Like 50-fold.
But here's the other thing. I have no debt. Yeah. I owe about $180,000 on my house. That's worth about $550. But in looking towards retirement, I'm anticipating having to spend $1 million on a house.
Okay.
And how do I leverage my 401k to do that? Do I just say, you know what, I'm going to take $10,000 a month, and that's going to pay the $1 million mortgage?
That's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah, but or had you called us prior to investing in these LLCs in the New York high-rise, I would have said you should actually just hold those in treasuries until you actually buy this house. And you have $100,000 in mutual funds, and maybe we use that, right? But you should not be making any...
The challenge is you've got it's a good prop, but you've got $7 million in this tax shell. Think of it like there's the shell around these dollars, and to get money out, it's got to come out of that shell. And when you pull it out of the shell, your silent partner, the tax man, is going to grab some.
Right.
And the more you take out in any particular year, the more they're going to grab. So if you pulled out $1 million, you're going to be at the top tax rate.
47%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which part of the problem is also, though, is that it's like, do I start using some of that money now?
No, you're making. No, absolutely not. I'm
I'm the poorest rich girl
Yeah,
I know.
understand. I understand. You're the woman with a ham under her arm, pleading hungry. Um, so what?
I mean, so if you quit working today and you took a 4% distribution on that $7 million, that's $280,000 a year.
Right.
Yes, but if
So
you
you
wanted
don't-
if you wanted to buy a house, like $1 million a house, what I would do is I would actually have you go get a loan, what's called a 30 due in 5, right? Or a variable interest loan, one of
pay it
those
off in
two,
a short.
and have
Well, you got to
pay-
run the numbers, model it all.
Yeah, I'd have you pay it off in a relatively short period of time. But
Mm-hmm.
but what the mistake you made is that you actually said, "Well, I'm going to need this money to buy a house," but you acted contrary to that by making these investments.
You just took cash because I'm assuming that those $200,000. Yeah.
Were after tax. So
Yes.
you acted contrary to your best interest by that, because if we wanted real estate exposure, we could have actually gotten it inside the IRA. And by the way, the people that pitched you on the New York high rise didn't actually ever discuss. They might have asked how much money you had in an IRA.
They did a tremendous disservice to you. I mean, before you mention that, I'm starting to think in my mind. Her situation. They took her liquid cash, which is
they
little.
were selling a limited partnership, Scott. They didn't care about her. You need a financial advisor is what you need.
And run the numbers.
You need a
get more
financial.
confidence.
If for no other reason, and you're going to look and say, well, why would I pay for a financial advisor? If for no other reason than to stop you to making these investments in that. Because these investments.
My guy tried. My guy actually tried.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, but I'm, the people that my father introduced me to and the concept, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. I have this cash laying around.
Well, you should.
So, and then I'm worried about RMDs. What I'm. So one of my thoughts was to take more out of my 401k.
I'm actually not worried about RMDs. You've had gross income of $445,000. Okay, maybe you're maximizing your 401k,
But you're living
where
on
it's still
that.
over $400,000.
You live pretty.
Right.
You live pretty good. Is that 445,000 been pretty consistent over the years?
I'm average, I would say the last 5 years has been about three.
So
my guess, you're in software sales. Would be my guess.
Insurance.
Okay.
So, of sales of some sort to make that kind of money. Yeah.
No, I'm not even in sales. I do regulatory.
Wow.
regulatory.
Well,
for
look,
insurance.
you're good at what you're very good at your
You
career,
need to listen
obviously.
to your financial advisor.
But they're conservative, and they also wanted me to do a Roth roll conversion, and I'm like, I make $400,000 a year.
That's
If I
great.
do
Well,
the
then
Roth
get another
conversion-
financial. You're
Here's
paying.
why I wouldn't do a Roth conversion, because you quit working today and you're like, I need to replace $400,000 of income. Well, that's a 5 or 6% distribution on the 401k, which is much greater than what your required minimum distributions are going to be. And maybe you don't plan on retiring for a number of years, but regardless, to replace that $400,000 a year, which is when you back out what you're paying into Social Security, Medicare, and your 401k contributions, that 445 goes about 400. That's going to be greater than your required minimum distribution.
So the Roth is the wrong thing. And by the way, if your portfolio is being managed too conservatively, and your advisor won't move on that,
And get
then
a different
another
advisor.
advisor.
Yeah. So, hey, Stacey, I appreciate the call.